Feel that restlessness in your chest right now, that voice in your head that never shuts up, judging, planning, worrying, remembering. That voice isn't you. And whoever is listening to that voice, also not you. So what the hell are you? Last episode, Krishna revealed, you are not the doer. You never were. You are the music, not the musician. But today, he goes deeper. Way deeper. Today he reveals what happens when knowledge destroys the darkness you didn't even know was there. Episode 10 showed you the pathless path. Episode 11 shows you what you find at the end of it. And it's not what spiritual Instagram tells you. Chapter 5. Karma Sannyasa Yoga. The yoga of renunciation through action. Not renouncing the world. Renouncing what makes the world a prison. It's something that can't be photographed, hashtagged, or sold. There is a darkness that blocks reality. Not out there, in here. Your own ignorance, not stupidity, not lack of information. Something subtler. The assumption that you are a separate self moving through a world of separate objects. That assumption is the veil. For those whose ignorance is destroyed by knowledge of the self, that knowledge, like the sun, reveals the supreme. Not a new reality. The same reality that was always there. The sun doesn't create the landscape. It reveals what the darkness was hiding. And once the sun rises, can you make it dark again? Can you unsee what you've seen? No. That's why this knowledge is irreversible. With their intellect absorbed in that, their self merged in that, established in that, with that as their supreme goal, they go to the state of no return. Their impurities washed away by knowledge. You've experienced this in miniature. Reading a book you forget you're reading. Making music you forget you're playing. For a moment, the separate you dissolves. Krishna is pointing at that, but permanent, not a glimpse, a home address. There is a story. A young fish swam up to an old fish and asked, "I keep hearing about this thing called the ocean. Can you tell me where to find it?" The old fish smiled. You're swimming in it. You've never left it. The ocean is what you are. The drop doesn't merge into the ocean. The drop realizes it was always the ocean, just temporarily convinced it was separate. The state of no return. Once you see it, the dream is over forever. You can't go back to believing you're a separate wave after you've tasted the ocean. Every spiritual master says the same thing. This knowing doesn't come and go. It stays. Absorbed in that. Not thinking about it, not believing in it, being it. The way water doesn't think about wetness, it just is wet. The wise ones see with equal vision. A learned and humble Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and even an outcast. This is one of the most radical statements in all of Scripture. In a society built on hierarchy, Krishna says, the one who sees the same consciousness in everyone and everything. The professor and the prisoner. The executive and the janitor, the Instagram influencer, and the homeless man sleeping under the bridge. Same consciousness, different costumes. If you can't see God in the person you judge most harshly, you haven't seen God at all. Even here, they have conquered creation, those whose minds are established in equality. Brahman is flawless and equal, therefore they abide in Brahman. Conquered creation, not by fighting it, by seeing through it. By recognizing that every form is the same formless consciousness dressed up differently. Every judgment you make about another person reveals something about you, not about them. The moment you see someone as less than, you've announced, I don't see clearly yet. Equal vision isn't a moral command. It's a diagnostic. It tells you how awake you are. Ramana Maharshi, one of India's greatest sages, treated everyone identically. The governor of the state, and the old woman who swept the ashram floor. When asked why, he looked genuinely confused. He said, I see no difference. Visitors thought he was being humble. He wasn't. He was being accurate. That's equal vision, not pretending everyone is the same. Seeing what actually is the same beneath every surface. A ring, a necklace, a bracelet, different shapes, same gold. A wave, a ripple, a tsunami. Different forms, same water. A saint, a sinner, a stranger, different stories, same consciousness. The names and forms are infinite. What they're made of is one. One should not rejoice upon obtaining what is pleasant, nor be disturbed upon obtaining what is unpleasant. Steady in mind, undiluted, The knower of Brahman abides in Brahman. Not numb, not indifferent, steady. There's a massive difference. Pleasant sensation arrives. The yogi doesn't chase it. Unpleasant sensation arrives. The yogi doesn't resist it. Both are waves on the same ocean. Both rise, both fall. The ocean doesn't care which wave is which. Your phone buzzes. Good news or bad news. Same reaction. Oh, a notification. The content doesn't shake you because you're not identified with the story anymore. You're the screen, not the movie. The sky, not the weather. This isn't emotional deadness. The yogi still laughs, still cries, still loves. But they're not enslaved by any of it. They feel everything fully without being destroyed by it. That's the difference between being drowned by a wave and surfing it. The mountain doesn't fight the storm. It doesn't celebrate the sunshine. Weather comes, weather goes. The mountain is still there. You are the mountain. Everything else is weather. Now we reach the heart of this episode, the teaching that names it. Listen carefully. With the self unattached to external contacts, one finds the happiness that is in the self. United with Brahman through yoga, one attains endless bliss. Endless. Not temporary. Not dependent on anything. The happiness that needs nothing. You've been chasing happiness in upgrades. Better phone, better partner, better abs, better job, better life. Krishna's saying, wrong search entirely. You're looking for your glasses while they're on your face. There is a happiness that doesn't depend on anything external. And it's what you already are. Pleasures born from contact with sense objects are indeed sources of suffering. They have a beginning and an end. The dating app match that felt like fate, now you're bored. The promotion you killed yourself for, now it's just Tuesday. Every high has a half-life. Every pleasure that depends on something outside you carries its own expiration date. You've felt it, that moment between sleep and waking, before thought labels the day good or bad, before the to-do list crashes in. Pure being, pure awareness. No reason to be happy, and yet happiness. That's the happiness Krishna means. It doesn't need a reason. Not because pleasure is bad. Pleasure is fine. But it's impermanent. You're building a castle on sand. It looks beautiful until the tide comes in. And the tide always comes in. Krishna isn't saying stop enjoying life. He's saying stop depending on enjoyment for your fundamental okayness. Sit with that for a moment. The happiness that has no cause. One who is happy within, who rejoices within, who is illumined within. That yogi, becoming Brahman, attains liberation in Brahman. Happy within, not happy because, not happy when, illumined within. The word Krishna uses is jyoti, self-luminous, not reflecting borrowed light, generating light from its own nature. Not happy if, happy, period. That's the difference between conditional and unconditional, between a happiness that comes and goes and a happiness that simply is. One who is able to withstand, right here in this body before death, the force born of desire and anger. That person is a yogi. That person is happy before death, not after, not in some future life, right here in this body while you're still breathing. The urge to check your phone during dinner, the impulse to snap back in an argument, the craving for that third glass of wine. The force is real. Krishna isn't denying the force. He's asking, can you feel it without obeying it? Not suppressing it. That just creates pressure. Not indulging it. That just creates habit. Standing in the storm without being blown away. Feeling the full force of desire and watching it pass like weather. That's the practice. That's the liberation. Next time anger rises, try this. Don't act on it. Don't suppress it. Just feel it for 3 seconds. Where is it in your body? Chest? Throat? Hands? That 3-second gap between stimulus and response, that gap is where freedom lives. Most people never find it because they react too fast. A billionaire once visited a monk and said, I have everything, mansions, yachts, private jets, but I can't sleep at night. What do you have that I don't? The monk said. I'll tell you what I have that you don't. Enough. The billionaire had everything except the one thing that mattered. The ability to want nothing. That's what Krishna means by withstanding the force. not poverty, not deprivation, freedom from the tyranny of want. You've met someone like this. Maybe just once. Their partner left, or they lost their job, and somehow they were still whole, not in denial, not faking strength, actually at peace. You wondered, what do they know that I don't? They've found the happiness that needs nothing. The seers whose impurities are destroyed, whose doubts are cut asunder, who are self-controlled, and who are engaged in the welfare of all beings, they attain liberation in Brahman. Notice that last part. Engaged in the welfare of all beings. Liberation isn't selfish. When you realize yourself is everyone's self, serving others becomes as natural as your hand helping your foot when it stumbles. You don't think about it. You don't make a moral decision. It just happens. Not duty, not obligation, recognition. A tree doesn't decide to give fruit. It gives because that's its nature. The sun doesn't decide to shine. It shines because that's what it is. Compassion from realization isn't a choice. It's an overflow. You serve because you can't not serve. The way you breathe because you can't not breathe. Those who are free from desire and anger, who have controlled their thoughts and realized the self, for such liberated sages, liberation in Brahman exists both here and hereafter. Both here and hereafter. Liberation isn't something you earn after death, it's available now. Not tomorrow when you've meditated more, not next year when you've read more books, not after death when some cosmic judge weighs your karma. Now. In this moment, while you're watching this video, the door has always been open. You just keep walking past it. Pause here. Ask yourself honestly, am I seeking happiness or am I just avoiding pain? Because they look identical from the outside but lead to very different places. One is freedom. The other is a more comfortable prison. Shutting out all external contacts, fixing the gaze between the eyebrows, equalizing the ingoing and outgoing breaths, the senses controlled, the mind and intellect restrained, with liberation as the supreme goal. This is Krishna giving actual meditation instructions, not philosophy. Not metaphor, technique. The one who is always free from desire, fear, and anger, that sage is indeed liberated. Fixing the gaze between the eyebrows doesn't mean crossing your eyes. It means resting your attention at the point where awareness naturally converges. Try it right now. Close your eyes. Let your attention settle gently at the space between your eyebrows. Notice what happens to your thoughts. Equalizing the ingoing and outgoing breaths. When your breathing is chaotic, your mind is chaotic. When your breathing is even, your mind settles. This is 5,000-year-old neuroscience. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. Krishna knew this before science had a name. One breath. That is all. The whole of yoga in a single inhale. This isn't about escaping the world. You don't have to sit in a cave. You can do this on a bus, in a meeting, while cooking dinner. Shutting out external contacts doesn't mean shutting out the external world. It means not letting it determine your inner state. Big difference. Take one breath right now. In through the nose. Out through the nose. Equal length. That one breath? That was the practice. Everything else is commentary. Having known me as the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities, as the great Lord of all the worlds, and as the friend of all beings, one attains peace. This is the final verse of chapter 5, and it contains the three most important words Krishna has spoken so far. Friend of all beings, not judge, not punisher, not distant cosmic ruler. Friend. The infinite consciousness that created galaxies calls itself your friend. Not your master, not your boss, your friend. Let that recalibrate everything you think about the divine. Many traditions place the divine above you, distant, judging, separate. You're the servant, the worshiper, the sinner begging for mercy. Krishna says something different. I'm your friend, not above you, not below you, with you, walking beside you in every moment you've ever lived. That changes the entire relationship. Enjoyer of all sacrifices. Every action you offer without attachment, Krishna receives it. Not as a transaction, not keeping score. The way a parent receives a child's drawing, not because it's perfect, because it was offered with love, Lord of all worlds. Not controlling them, pervading them. The way space holds every object without choosing favorites. The way silence holds every sound. Lord doesn't mean dictator. It means source. The canvas on which everything is painted. One attains peace, not excitement, not ecstasy, not spiritual fireworks. Peace, the most understated and the most radical word, because peace means the search is over. Nothing more to find, nothing more to fix, nothing more to become. You've arrived where you always were. The seeker becomes the found. The question becomes the answer. The wave realizes it's the ocean. And in that realization, peace, not as something gained, as something uncovered. It was there all along, under the noise, under the wanting, under the search itself. Everything Krishna taught in this chapter can be said in one sentence. Equal vision, inner happiness, withstanding desire, friend of all beings. All of it points to one truth, and it's so simple your mind will try to complicate it. You are the space in which everything happens. Not the thoughts, not the feelings, not the body, not the story, the space. Notice it right now. Something is aware of these words, that awareness isn't a thought, it's what thoughts appear in. Thoughts come and go, you remain. Feelings rise and fall, you remain. The body ages and changes, you remain. You are the space that holds it all and is touched by none of it. Space doesn't fight what's in it. Space doesn't prefer one galaxy over another. Space just holds. That's your nature. That's what equal vision means. That's the happiness that needs nothing. This isn't a concept to understand. It's what you are before concepts begin. Before, I am this or I am that. Before name. Before story. Before history. There is awareness. That awareness is you. It has always been you. Nothing was ever wrong. Chapter 5 is complete. Arjuna now understands. Renunciation and action are the same path when walked without ego. True happiness is inside, not in circumstances. The wise see the same consciousness in everything. And the divine isn't a distant judge, it's a friend walking beside you. 3 things to carry from this episode. 1. Equal vision. The same consciousness lives in the saint and the stranger, the executive and the janitor. 2. The happiness that needs nothing. It's already inside you, not in the next upgrade. 3. God is not your judge. God is your friend. The closest friend you will ever have. Next time, what meditation actually is. Forget everything you think you know about meditation. Krishna is about to give the most practical, most misunderstood teaching in the entire Gita. Chapter 6 isn't about sitting still. It's about what happens when the mind finally stops lying to you. Episode 12 changes the game entirely. Before you go, here's your challenge. Today, look at 3 people, one you love, one you're neutral about, one who irritates you. Look past the surface. See the same awareness looking out of all 3 sets of eyes. The same consciousness in 3 different costumes. Try it once, just once, and notice what happens to your judgment. Hit subscribe. Season 1, Episode 11 of 18, covering all 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. We're deep into the journey now. The teachings only get more profound from here. Comment below. What's one thing you chase for happiness that you know won't last? The happiness that needs nothing. It's not something you achieve, it's something you uncover. And it's been here the whole time, waiting under the noise, waiting under the wanting, waiting under every search you ever began. Episode 12 next week. The friend is waiting.